Sanibonani bakwethu. Greetings once again. Aba ayalewu amlak, heruse kemang kamun, silo samanzi uzinyo lengwenye, uboya bengwe. Inkosi kayiqedwa bakwethu. Mangisho zonke izibongela zami, kungaphela amakhamera. Uginqa amabhunu lo wathatha isibaya wasiqeda. Bakwethu ngihleli nekhehla la namhlanje. As you know, I'm not in the habit of introducing my guests out of fear of doing injustice. Ngizothi soccer player kanti boxer lo muntu. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Today we're going to have a talk. We've never had a chat before, Domkulu. It will be the first time we meet, but besides meeting, it will be the first time we actually engage in any conversation. So I'm in for a ride today. Welcome, Keshalam.
Ngiyabonga. Igama ngingumandla, umandla enkosi, ngizalwa kaThanje kwayo, ngizalwa uMamndebelo. Ngokwe-group ngiphuma ku-spiritual awareness. I'm a spiritual teacher. Siletha-ke i-awareness ebantwini nge-spirituality. Ngiyabonga ukwamukeleka. Ngiyajabula futhi, I feel very comfortable ukuba la ekhaya. I feel very comfortable ukukhuluma, sengike ngathi ukukhuluma naye ubaba. La ngathola ukuthi ukhulile nje impela manje yabona mawukhuluma nabantu abakhulile ngoba kimi ukukhula akusi ukuba neminyaka eminingi or ukuba impunga njengami, kodwa kuwukukhula in terms of development spiritually. So uphethe izinto ezinkulu kakhulu. Ngiyabonga nami ukwamukelwa uye.
Give thanks baba. Hawu ngiyabonga Khehlalami. Hawu. Namhlanje spiritual awareness movement. Sam. Ubani uSam?
uSam i-office nje elaqala ukuthi lisize ngoba kunale nkinga yokuthi kukhona amasonto, kukhona inhlangano, sekungazathi kukhona i-confusion. Kungazathi ke abantu ngeke bahlangane behlukaniswa yilezi inhlangano ngendlela yokuthi inhlangano nenhlangano ine-idea yayo ebambelele kuyo nekholelwa kuyo, and then ke yase iba in a form of a doctrine, freezer in a form of a doctrine. So izalwe ukuthi ke sekufuneka ilethe spirituality, because spirituality goes straight to awareness and unfreeze it so that people can go to infinity. Ngizobeka nje lo mzekelo. Uyabona umuntu ome ngapha kulendlu uzothi lendlu inamafastela amathathu. Ome ngale athi lendlu inamafastela amathathu nomnyango wodwa. Ome ngale athi nefastela elilodwa. Ome ngale athi inamafastela amabili nomnyango. Bavumelana ngomnyango laba kodwa bavumelana ngamafastela. Bavumelana ngamafastela laba mara bavumelana ngomnyango, akunamnyango ngapha. Lo unefastela elilodwa, avumelani namuntu. So labantu bangaphikisana kuyoshona ilanga. Kodwa ke ophezulu uthi la umekhona uright, lento oyibonayo injalo. Nawe la umekhona uright, nawe la umekhona uright. Kodwa izani phezulu nizobona konke.
Masekuhlangene.
That's what Sam is saying. He's saying uthatha iqiniso elincane. Uyabona ubambelela kulo, nawe leqiniso liphethe yilo, nawe yilo. Kodwa manje izani zobona konke kuzokwazi ukuthi kuhlangane lamaqiniso, kungabi iphisi yeqiniso nephisi yeqiniso. Usho njalo uSam.
Unenkinga uSam. Uhlalaphi uSam? Ngifuna ukumvakashela uSam. uSam unenkinga. uSam uthi umuntu okhulela eintabeni uzothi yena makachaza uNkulunkulu, when you are coming from a mountainous area and all you know is the mountains. How you will describe God is as a strong mountain. Usem uthi umuntu okhulela elwandle. One person who grew up on an island in the middle of the ocean and all they know is the sea. They will describe God as the mighty ocean. Uthi usem umuntu okhulela ehlathini in the thickest jungle and all they know are big thick trees that bear fruit. They will describe God as a mighty tree. Umuntu okhulela in a cave and all they know are the rocks inside the cave. He will describe God as a refuge, as a hole, as a cave to hide in, a mighty hiding place. So Sam, kahle kahle wena Sam uthi uNkulunkulu ufana ne-taste yomuntu kuma Coca-Cola products. Umuntu uthanda iSprite, omunye uthanda iStone. Omunye uthanda iSchweppes, omunye uthanda iFanta Pine, omunye uthanda iCoca-Cola. And then we are arguing about the different colors of the same drink that was made in the same Coca-Cola company.
There we are.
Is this what Sam is saying?
Yes.
Webafundisi vala namasonto. Nangu Sam ufikile. Sam, qhubeka ngimamele.
Manje ke umuntu ubona ngeso lalami ekhona.
Kanti mabangabheka ngeso le-CEO yase Coca-Cola bebazobona ukuthi hayi man yithi esitshintsha amakhala la is the same cold drink.
That's right.
Okay. It's the same house we are arguing over.
It's the same house we are arguing over. Kodwa manje, let's go to the root of the whole thing so we can be able to see exactly what is happening. I-challenge eyokuqala eyomuntu kuzofundwa eBhayibhelini bese kuvezwa ukuthi kukhona umuntu odaliwe kukhona obunjiwe. Bese ke manje kuba ne-challenge religion lenye izomveza ukuthi lo ubunjiwe kuqala wase ke ayaphefumulela emakhaleni waphila. Uyabo? So sengazathi umdali, the creator, udala into efile wase uyayiphilisa. Kanti uma kuvela from the creation ukuthi wadala ngezwi wathi akube khona. Kusho ukuthi yavele yaphila lento azange iqali ibe into efile bese iyaphiliswa. Uyabona?
Okay, manguzwa kahle. There's Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. And then there's Genesis chapter 2 verse 8.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, let's get it clear. For your sake, viewers, Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, let us make man in our image
and likeness.
Genesis chapter 2, and God took soil from the garden he had planted in the east, and he formed man, and then later on breathed his spirit into him. Ongidlulise lapha.
Ya angithi ke ila kufanele sidlule kahle khona sizokwazi ukuba clear. Ngoba kuba ngazathi uNkulunkulu wadala individually yase idala abantu bonke abagcwele emhlabeni. Kanti uNkulunkulu wasidala sonke at once. We came out of God like spikes of fire. And leso sikhathi esidala besifana naye. God is a spirit, we are spirit children. Wasibeka in a spirit world. Noma sisibiza ngaliphi igama kodwa siphile sinama attributes akhe and siphila ku absolute. So there was no duality there. So now we could not experience who we are or what we are because we were just like our father siphila lempilo ephilo ubaba. Then wasethi ubaba uma nifuna ukuexperience lokho eniko ikhona indawo enye engiyidalile eningaya khona. All what it takes is to choose. Manje mawuchoose ukuya lapho kuvaleka amehlo ala kuvuleka amehlo uyala uyakhona ukuze ukwazi ukuexperience ngoba ungavalekanga angeke. Ingakho mawufunda kuIsaiah 29 ithi isihloko nje la kuverse 9 sithi ubuphumputhe bokomoya. Uthi badakiwa kodwa kulona iwani, bayadiyazela kodwa kulona uphuzo olunamandla. Bese uverse 10 athi uNkulunkulu uthukulele ubuthongo obunzima phezu kwabo. So uma ukhetha nje ukuze emhlabeni, uAdam uye on record mayekhetha, thina sikho on record, but nathi sizikhethela, inkinga yethu ayiveli kuAdam. Nathi sizikhethela ukuza la. Manje ukukhetha kuye kwavaleka amehlo kamoya, saphumputha emoyeni, kwavuleka amehlo alelizwe, sabona izinto zalelizwe, sesifuna ukuphila ngale zinto zalelizwe, ngazathi ukuphila kuyilezi zinto lezi. Kanti lezi zinto amathulusi ukuthi si-experience lokho esiyiko, including our body, is a tool. Manje umzimba uvele uma sichuza, mangichuza ukuza la, uma ufunda Isaiah uyiveza clear leyo nto 1 verse 5. Ngingakakubumba esiswini ngakwazi. Umaze laphi? Umaze ngoba wamdala. So kukhona lo daliwe makeza kobunjiwe, obunjiwe uyaphila. Ile nto abathi ukuphefumulela emakhaleni, uyaphila. Lo daliwe mayehamba, obunjiwe akakwazi ukuphila ngaphandle kwalo daliwe. Nangabe uhamba lo asezethwele imiscarriage. Uyabona? So uma sithi akasekho ubani, sibe umzimba ubukhona la, sithini? Sisho ukuthi lo daliwe akasekho. Kodwa lo daliwe uyaqhubeka, uyaphila. Uyabona? And then lo bunjiwe uye emathuneni emhlabathini, kulobumba la aqhamuka khona. Awuthatha indaba kaJesu, uthi uJesu manibulala lo mzimba ngizawuvusa ngosuku lesithathu. Kodwa mayekhuluma neselelesi uthi namhlanje ngizaba nawe eparadise. Uyabona ukuthi sekunohambo oluhlukile la, khona eparadise, kukhona emathuneni.
Okay.
So lo eparadise uyaqhubeka nokuphila. Lo emathuneni uyeke lo usayolinda. You understand ukuthi naleyo kulinda yenye indaba yangelinye ilanga, kodwa ukuthi la kuyaphilwa, kuphilwa phakathi. uNkulunkulu adalanga into efayo, dala into ephila phakathi.
uNkulunkulu udalile waphinde wabumba. All right. Lento ebunjiwe ibunjwe out of choice of lento edaliwe.
That's right.
Ngifuna ukukulandlela ukuzwa kahle. So hey, kunabantu abazwa isingisi kuphela konje la ngaphandle.
Okay.
So when God created, let me say, God A, created, B, formed. And what was created and what was formed are not the same thing. All right. God created that which has life and formed from material that which is in itself dead.
That's right.
Okay. Now, when you combine that which was created, which is life itself, with that which was formed, human life on earth began.
That's right.
Okay. And when that ends, that which was created leaves that which was formed. And that which was formed goes to the grave to wait. And that which was created goes back to its source in creation.
Okay, now asambe kancane la. I don't want to say, although people say that which is formed goes back and wait. It does not wait.
That's why I mentioned it. I want you to, because a lot of people, and trust me, a lot of Christians who are watching us are expecting that on the last day, Jesus is going to come on a cloud and all their bodies in the grave are going to resurrect physically and ascend on a cloud to heaven. That is the promise. And that is why when we go to churches uniform way till today. And this is why we keep on paying our tithes in the church, because we have this one promise that when Hugh Masekela plays a jazz concert, we are all going to wake up from our grave physically and go to heaven. So explain
okay.
now that separation of that which was formed and that which was created.
This which is created moves and lives the formed. Now, this which is created, remember, it is energy. And it has awareness and consciousness. It has vibration, it has frequency.
Okay.
Now, the mind goes with this that is created. The brain goes with what is formed. Now, the mind, once, because remember we say we went into a deep sleep. Now it will depend when this lives, how awaken, at what stage of awakening you are. And then you'll go to a place of existence where of relevant to where you are in terms of your
awakening.
Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is yazi usema uzokwatisa abantu. I read a book once. I forgot the author's name. She was a pastor, a Christian pastor. And he was what they call a doomsday pastor. The pastor that teaches about the end of days, about hell, about resurrection, about Jesus coming back, about yonke le horror ye revelations le. Weba kwetama Christian aphila kwi horror, but anyway, he was teaching this message. And he got in a car accident. And he fell into a coma. Now, in a coma, he experienced what we would call an out-of-body experience. Now, in his out-of-body experience, the body is alive, the formed is alive. It's in hospital, it's still pulsating, the heart is beating, but the brain is dead. Everything else is dead, no response, right? That which was created is alive. And it's going to a place and it's experiencing something there. When it gets to this place, it finds a dark place. Everybody's crying in this place. And there are humans with animal heads in this place. And everybody's being beaten up and being tortured. And now he's feeling, because he knows this, he was a pastor, right? He knows that this is hell in his consciousness, in his mind. He knows that this is hell. Now he's experiencing hell as a pastor, as a priest, as a Christian priest, not macaroni. He's experiencing hell, only to find that the one sitting on the biggest chair in this place has the biggest head of a cow with huge horns. And he's the ugliest. He's coming out flames from his nose and all of this. Just when he falls down and he cries, it's like somebody switched on the light. And this is a book, someone's experience. It was like somebody switched on the lights and everybody started laughing at him. Quack, 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 quack. Now he's confused. Why is everybody laughing? Everybody took off their masks. They were all wearing masks. All these animal heads were masks. So everybody took off their masks. Do you know what he discovers? It's his relatives, his grandfathers, his uncles, his grandmothers, his brothers who had passed, his sisters, the little children in the family who had passed away. All of them were wearing a mask and pretending to be in hell. Now they told him, his own father tells him, you can get the book. I'll remember the title of the book. It's in one of my bookshelves. The father says to him, do you see what you were teaching the people? This is what you are making people believe. And this is what's going to happen to the people you are teaching this when they die. You are not dead now. Go back and teach the truth. He woke up from his coma went back to his church of 8,000 every Sunday strong. Now, this is 8,000 people every Sunday coming to church. He got there and told them his experience and told them that he apologizes for lying to them for all this time. Hell does not exist after death. Hell is a place you choose to exist in. Choice. You choose to exist in hell. You choose to exist in heaven. And heaven is the construct of your own awareness. The level at which you are awake becomes your heaven. The next Sunday, of 8,000 adherents or congregants, 8 came back. The rest said, no, this preacher, this priest has lost his mind. He's crazy now. The accident disturbed his head. Only 8 came back from 8,000. The total amount of people that stuck with him after that was about 12, 13 people, including his family. So outsiders were about 2 or 3. The rest of the people thought he was crazy. And the whole church of 8,000 every Sunday died because the preacher told the truth. So you, Sam, are saying that Angitu Baba Sam, spiritual awareness movement, Sam. You, Sam, are saying that what is formed will die and it will return to the formation.
Let's finish that off because we left it out. We talked about that which was created. That which is formed changes form. It does not die. It changes form. It changed from flesh to soil. And it go on to live. It lives as well because it produces cabbage, it produces food. You cannot get anything from a dead soil. So it continues to live as a soil. It changes form. There's no death here. Nothing dies.
And where's the mutingand?
No, nothing dies. It changes form.
Cool. Are you trying to console yourself because you're seeing that your time is near? So pela so mpunga wena. Are you trying to console yourself with ayasifi?
No, I'm telling the truth so that you see when you read the scriptures. 1 John chapter 4 verse 8. Ongathandiyo akamazi uNkulunkulu. uNkulunkulu luthando. God is love, right? Verse 18 continues to say, akukho kwesaba othandweni, uthando luphelele liyaxosha ukwesaba, nowesabayo ngoba ngaphelele othandweni. Ukwesaba kunesijeziso, torment. So, fear and love, there is no fear in love. Fear and love are polar opposite. They are just like light and darkness. Now, fear is the parent of negativity. Love is the parent of positivity. Love knows no negativity by its own. Read 1 Corinthians chapter 13. You understand? Now, what happened is that the sponsoring thought of the people in religion is fear. Go to church because of you'll go to hell. It's fear. But Jesus did not teach fear. He says he teaches love. So people they say fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. You understand? How can that which is negative take you to the wisdom, to the positive end? Do you understand? Then there's a problem. Jesus says, bambuza abaFarisi ukuthi muphi umyalo omkhulu? Uthi thanda uNkulunkulu ngamandla akho onke, umphefumulo wakho nangengqondo yakho yonke, nangako konke kwakho. You see? And then besathi wesibili thanda umakhelwane njengoba uzithanda. Yonke eminye bephoyiseke kulokho. Kusho ukuthi now love is a sponsoring thought. Let love be your life. So whatever you do, do it lovingly. You understand? Not fearfully. Stop fearing God, but love God. You understand? Then once you start love God, you have that good relationship with God. You understand? So that's what is happening. People are missing the point because they came to church because they fear to go to hell. Once there's no hell, then
What
what
happens?
is the purpose of them coming to church? Obviously, you'll be left with 8 people out of 8,000 because they came
Mkhulu,
because
be
of
careful.
fear.
Be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
Siyazi phela ukuthi a lot of these Christian priests and these bishops, and I'm going to be very unpopular right now. Ngizokhuluma enye into Maleka, ungiprotect out here mezwa. Ngiyakucela. A lot of these priests, a lot of these pastors spent 8, 9, 13 years in prison. And suddenly, in a jail cell, they claim to have found God. Siyabazi babhalita thula enyaweni lawa ama-rough 3 ama-rough 4 siyanazi ama-20 siyanazi ngeke sibize lokho ngamagama, but we know you niphume emajele navula amasonto. Khulu isonto lapha eSoweto angeke ngilibize ngegama, but on the streets we know that the priest is an ex-prisoner. We know that. Many priests we know found God in a prison cell and came back and opened churches. And they say they are reformed and rehabilitated. And it's the same priests that are going to teach people the fear of God, to keep the congregation coming out of fear. Because it's an easy hustle. It's a hustle with no gun, with no knife. Abantu bayazilethela imali kuwe. And siyazi ukuthi amajimbo sibasebenza ngo-crown. You understand? We know that. Imali yazele esontweni, you don't have to khomba umuntu ngesibhamu. But the fact that now you are saying this, babuthenje kwayo. Wena ngizokubiza ngegama-ke ngizoku-expose amandla enkosi ithenje kwayo. Akushongo mina. Kusho wena Sam. Ukuthi the only reason why religion persists is because of fear.
Yeah.
Remove the fear, there's no more reason of going to church. You stand by that?
I stand by that because, you see, we must understand what is church. Church is ecclesia. It's from the word ecclesia, a called out assembly. We understand. Let's take the story of Abraham. Abraham was moved out of religion to spirituality. We understand. Bekaphila ku religion yakubo yakababakhe. And then he was moved to, and he became a Hebrew. Hebrew means the one that is called out. We understand. So he came out of religion, became a Hebrew. Then we started having a community of Hebrews, which went on to become Israel due to Jacob was changed his name and he became Israel, and he had 12 sons, and the 12 sons became the 12 tribes of Israel. Yeah, but now I'm here that Abraham became spiritual. You see, out of religion. You understand? So we have to come out of religion because religion is confining us to a particular idea. And that idea is frozen. So spirituality goes straight to that awareness and unfreeze it. So you go to infinity.
Let me be your enemy. You talk about coming out of religion and becoming spiritual. Awulikhoti iBhayibheli nkosi yami. That's the only book you're quoting. You're quoting the Bible. And the Bible is a religious book. The Bible, let's be honest with ourselves. The canonization of the Bible happened after 325 AD. What we know today as a Bible was compiled from a lot of different books. And somebody decided, Oguti, these books will fall under what? Apocrypha, meaning non-canonical books. And other books will fall into the canon, meaning the church doctrine. And then other books were relegated even further away from the context of the story. there's over 26,000 different versions of the Bible today. In one Bible, David was killed by Goliath with a stone on his forehead. In another Bible, David was killed by Bethuel the Shulamite with a spear through his heart. In one Bible, Jesus was hung on a tree. In another one, he was hung on a cross. In another Bible, there are many stories, contradictions. There is the Jehovah's Witness Bible with a total number of about 3,600 verses completely deleted from the Bible. To the point that you can test this for yourself. Get a Jehovah's Witness New Living Edition Bible or New Living Translation Bible, Yama Jehovah's Witness. Look for Mark chapter 8, verse 1 to 14. The chapter starts with verse 15. Where is verse 1 to verse 14? Totally deleted. Now you are sitting there, Sam, talking about spirituality, quoting the Bible. Which version of the Bible first? You sound like a runaway Christian. Somebody who was once a Christian at some point in their history, got fed up with the lies that Christianity was teaching, but couldn't get out of the doctrine of Christianity. So instead of saying you're a Christian, you say you are Sam. Explain that to me. Why the Bible as the book of reference?
You see, when you help people, you start where they are. Then will help. Because it is the very same Bible that will, you see, when you read Jeremiah 32.
I thought bengukubophela omunye umbuzo onzima. Bengithi ukufanele khona weekend bengithi ngibophile lapha. Thing is
yiyo le bakhiphayo futhi mawufunda iprofesi ithi ngiyobhala amazwi ami enhlizweni. Ngilobe umthetho yami enhlizweni yakho. Kusho ukuthi mase ninakwazi ukuya enhlizweni ake seyukufundisana. You understand? Nifunda lencwadi leBhayibheli ngoba anikakwazi ukuya enhlizweni. Lona futhi mawufunda ku Proverbs 4 verse 23 lithi kuko konke ugcina inhliziyo yakho ngoba kuyila kuvela khona ukuphila. Issues of life zivela enhlizweni. Nalabo abaprofeti abathole lezi zinto ababezisho bebezilanda enhlizweni. Uyabona? So why ufuna iphisi inyana into inyana? Enhlizweni uthole konke incwadi ephelele enhlizweni yakho. Iqiniso leli senhlizweni yakho. Mawusukwazi enhlizweni awusadingi a religious book.
Ungiqedile. Awungisha umlomo. Habe ngithi ngiyokuphikisa kushona ilanga. Today abantu mabaya enyangeni bathi ama client. Client yami, patient yami. La ngathwasa khona isixhosa sakithi ke mina kunokumkani tiki. Ngeke ngisho ukuthi kuphi nizogijimela khona.
Bamshanga sibani 3 rand library.
Bangitshela mina ugogo owangithwasisa isixhosa sakithi wangithwasisa isiko lakithi. Zindwendwe visitors ababantu. Yazwa ke? They are visitors zindwendwe. Now kini wena kugcwala iline yama visitor every day. In your home, is there a constant line of 20 to 30 visitors every day? Sometimes visitors come once in 3 months. Once in 6 months. Zindwendwe. I'm a client. Sesi corporate manje. We are now corporate in a traditional thing. We are commercial. It takes me back now to the second thing I want us to talk about. Zion. Udlulile kwakhotho. Postoli. Udlulile kukhotho. Sion. Asazi singayikhuluma singaboycottwa. This is how much power churches have.
Yeah.
Sowetan once made an article that was negative towards the ZCC church. And a command came from Emoria. Oguti Masioni, don't buy the Sowetan. And the shares
Even-
of the Sowetan plummeted.
Even the quality of their paper now is bad.
Even the quality of the paper dropped because a whole church pulled out.
Yeah.
I'm aware of Uguti Lento Sikulumayo is very, 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 very sensitive and dangerous waters to walk upon. But Bushiri, Ubando Lazarus ovusa abantu abafile. Who's this priest? Omotolososo. Omosomolokoso. Or Omosomoso. Yena loyo.
Joshua labo.
Abo TB Joshua. Pastor Chris.
Yes.
Pastor Ken. Pastor this. Bishop this.
Pastor
Naba
Moses.
abafana abancane base kuplap. Kharanku abolisego. Young boys badlisa ogogo amagundwane namatshana. Baphuzisa abantu amapetrol.
Shapa ngamadumu.
Namadumu. Like, it's happening now. My question is now, if we know the origins of the Christian church, the foundation in Twalo. No, we know it.
Yeah.
Saints, what are saints? Saints are people who passed away, that were taken and then
Dismembered.
and then revered.
No. Their body parts.
They are human body parts,
Are in
and then
every
those human body parts, rituals are performed every year. Motwele, you have to perform a ritual every year.
Definitely.
And Lento Twele Ngayo has a human body part involved in it.
Yeah.
Remember to last for 10 years.
Yeah.
Most of them
And-
did for 10 years. Eh?
And Sean
And it's
Jono
survived for 10
Sibuza.
years. Most of them they live for 10
The
years.
magic survives
Yeah,
for 10 years.
For 10 years. Eh?
Remember when we
And
were
then when
growing
they
up,
die, bashona
Fashion,
bashokala phala jwang, some ba pluta ka dinkomadi,
abanye
abanye ziso. Abanye ba chayiswa yimoto,
Okay.
itayadutshulwa and all this stuff.
but now, that 10 years, when we were growing up, there used to be David Copperfield.
Yeah.
Oh,
And just
extraordinaire.
Uyamkhumbula?
Yeah. Lower creator, Spectamen.
I was born. David Copperfield used to make a whole building in the middle of town disappear
Yeah.
in front of people.
Yeah.
He didn't last 10 years on the media. After him, Chris Angel, Dynamo, David Blaine,
The masked magician.
Masked Magician, who's this Carbonaro effect. All these people don't last more than 10 years in the media and they just disappear. And then now you are saying Ugutwala has a 10-year contract.
It's a 10-year contract. What can we say?
And in Hollywood, there is a 10-year contract. Ankhulumi Hollywood,
Yeah.
but Hollywood is actually from the holy tree.
Yeah.
The holy tree is, you know Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Harry Potter, his wand is from the holy tree.
Yeah. Let's say Mr. Shane.
Okay, that's something else. The point here is, there is a magic system. There is a magic system, a witchcraft system
Yes.
that is being operated with the guise of Africanness right now.
Yes.
And within these churches, Apostle Zion, in magic is being performed. Abanye bathi ke ditayelo, abanye bathi ke ditshebetso, abanye bathi yintsebenzo. And then kunesphiri khona lapho. Esphirini you find amapostoli amazayoni abazalwane khona la. Mara bahlangene endaweni eyi-one, ama-Anglicani,
Yes.
ama-Methodist in one
Kodwa
area.
babephuma basazwana.
Okay.
Babehla ngentaba.
If Intwano is a foreign tradition, proven by books, documents, and practice, man, you say, born, Nespir is a Christian organization of secret magicians.
Yes, in from the novels, from the Roman novels.
Okay.
I think I started from that.
See,
Because those are people who were controlling, managed to make sure that even if Baba Iaboko Constantine they debilitated from them, they were had to come again to use the Romans for novels for them to push Christianity out. So then for that they have to be powerful. For them to were made about 12. So that Mangfila recognition, they could understand what I'm talking about.
So ukutwala comes into our culture with our contact with Christianity.
Mhm.
How now does the African Christian churches have impact in our community? Because now, abanye bashiya ubuzalwane, bashiya Anglican, bashiya Roma, hayi nginomoya apostoli, hayi nginomoya Zion, hayi mina nginedlo Shembe, hayi mina ZCC. But it's the very same Christian magic that is practiced in those churches.
Mhm.
What is the solution?
To understand, it's very important to understand the source of certain practices, And I think it would be wishful thinking to say, let's shut down all the churches and start from scratch. That would be wishful thinking. There are people who are living off the churches, and their children gotta eat,
Well, another thing we should understand.
But to get to the source, to get to the source of how did we get influenced by these things? And why do we think that these things are still good for us? While we are still seeing in our society.
Because we were taught to depend.
Dependent.
Yeah, dependency syndrome.
Okay.
That if ever Abba is not around, the show won't go on. Because of Shaba has left a certain element that will make us so hold the who.
Yes. You
understand?
It's that question of good. Who is going to bury me?
Who's going to bury me? Umpundisi, wamene ngibhatalele 1/10 eyakuthi. So the only way that we need to understand that it's not but when you speak about China Africans, sinenkolo engafani nani angazi ngingabeka kanjani ukubelieve or I don't know.
We don't have a religion.
We don't have a religion. Ingapho thina ubufundisi bantu come priest athi no nomntwana omncane angasukuma in front of the congregation and ihamba nani makuphuma iscripture lapha, not scripture in the Bible, makuphuma izwi lahamba nani nesprofeto ngaphakathi. And actually, even a 5-year, 6-year-old boy can stand up in front of the congregation and pass the message to us. Not
Fundisa.
Yeah.
No.
He is sharing the wisdom.
It's not a noun, it's a verb.
Yeah.
We are fundisa.
And where that comes from, because priest nomfundis doesn't mean the same thing.
Yes.
It's from the mission schools. Because the same children, Kokobetu, when they went to school, bafundisa ubani, abefundisa.
Abafundisa.
The priests. Those were the teachers who were there. And the nuns.
And those churches, again, we can play them at the same time, we cannot play them. You should understand how they were created. Because of the Kutsi that Western Christianity was more like into African child. Now they couldn't get a chance to practice the African way of life. At the same time, they couldn't get a chance to preserve certain things. That is why they had to be created, so they can preserve. Yes, let's sell this part, but protect this one.
This one.
Remember, if you want to know about the Zulu culture right now, this is Zulu Sangempel. Shembe is still carrying that lineage Zulu Sangempel.
Covered with Christianity, Nazareth.
If you go to Lukhanyan, the original Spain covered with Christianity. If you go to Umudise, Osapete is covered with Christianity. If you go to Mangondo, Osapete is covered with
Christianity.
The aim was at least let's try to save
something.
Even though we sell ourselves, yes, but let's say something so that our children have that little bit idea.
So that one day bangabuya.
So yabona ile 3-generation concept le ngikhuluma ngayo.
Ngifuna ukubuyela kuyo leyo
Amakhehla,
three.
they understood what they were getting themselves to.
Yes.
I remember on our last episode nomfundisi uKidane ne, we spoke that the priests, right, they give us everything that we live with, right? And if Tina sizofika to a point where we are not able to find ourselves outside of their own influence, izoba inkinga. So the first generation knows themselves. Yeah, because ubaba umzele ayazi lento, right? The second generation is going to be sympathetic.
Between, yeah.
The third generation ingeni.
Yeah.
And that's it. But Amakhehla, they preserved, some were preserving ubukhosi. But this virus.
Okay. The first people who did this, who got into these contracts, knew exactly what they were doing.
Definitely.
Siyabona umhlaba wethu yaphela. Isizwe siyaphela. Inkomo ziyaphela. Let's make a pretend compromise. Okay, we'll accept your Christianity, but we'll carry on ngalezinto zethu. Hence your African traditional churches, disguised as Christian churches, so that when the policemen come, they see you, hey, Jesus, with the Bible, and you are praying.
Then they pass by.
But after that. I hear that. It was a form of protectiveness. The second generation, the goats went out.
And came in the sheep.
Came in the sheep now. The sheep came in, uzwe bathi, hayi, ekhaya sihlaba imbuzi. Siphahla ngemvu.
Baqala kulo.
It started somewhere. Imvu ayiphahla. Imvu ayiphahla. Imvu inyama, impahla, into edliwayo. Imbuzi, inyama okusebenza. It's key. Because he are communicating. So, imbuzi are communicate. But imvu came into our culture through Christianity because imvana gankulunkulu, the Lamb of God.
Yes.
And then the goat started, even in the European traditions, you'll hear about the beast and the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Baphomet, the goat of Mendes, and that's just an innocent. In fact, if we're going to talk about that, there's somebody out there on YouTube who's making videos against our videos, calling us unpopular opinion Freemasons, and Illuminati, and
his opinion.
It's his opinion. He's welcome to feel like that. I belong to a secret society for your information, so that you are clear. I belong to a secret society. I'm a grandmaster of a secret society called Abakalipi Bokanya. We are a secret society, not Illuminati, not Freemasonry, we are a secret, magic and mystical society with degrees and initiations and traditions and rituals. I don't know about Illuminati and Freemasonry. I think in fact, in Freemasonry, there's one grandmaster, the grandmaster with the Duke of York.
Yeah.
He's the grandmaster of Freemasonry. And for me to claim his title and his position, that's absurd, but I won't go against you. But in our secret society, we have traditions, rituals. And in these rituals, kunokuthwasa, kunokuthwala. Now, we're talking about these African churches and because eventually, because of the Witchcraft Act, Suppression Act, secret societies were born now, called impande ngesintu sethu, you know. And by the way, that secret society I'm saying is what everybody knows as impande. Is just a group of people practicing the same thing. Nothing sinister. It was forced underground by the Witchcraft Suppression Act.
Make it clear to President, this is not a cult. It's not a cult. It's a secret society. Okay. There's a difference between a cult
and a secret society.
So they will say, no.
About the cult and no.
Make it clear.
Now, this is why we want to differentiate these things.
Yes.
Uguti, after the act, Ubungoma as a practice was suppressed. It went underground.
Yes.
And underground, we know there's rats, there's worms, there's bacteria, there's scorpions and fungi and things that were not necessarily meant to be there. So certain things happen underground. Uktwala now comes into play.
Which is happening today.
When we
came back to the surface, we came back with
the surface, we came back with the and today it's viewed as normal.
Yes.
All right. Like you said, around the indlu. Amatwasai 15, 20, 35 HRT at the same time. Okay. And then kukona novunyanga. We are healing people.
Yes.
And those people don't have those clientele, don't have those people. And they understand Oguti, it's supposed to be like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
They accept it.
They accepted it. This now, the difference between what became Ubunyanga, where you find people umuntu yahambu uyotwasa 2 weeks later sekabuile khaya.
Yeah.
Umuntu yahambu uyotwasa a month later sekabuile. Sekuhlatshwa inkomo eyinyanga. 3 months later sekabuile. Sekugcwele abantu.
Say about what's online sekuyaphula kuma online my babo online yaphandisa mina. Lashe I mean, why am I wishing that online pub?
It's there.
It's there. Ngoba isinyanga. Awufuni ithi akumela ube ne cell phone kahle kahle. Akumela ube ne radio, akumela ube ne TV. But khona manje umbula kwi online ungale useDurban mina ngise America but you can tell me why the online. Those are people that we're talking about. That is why I'm saying today isangoma yanamhlanje has been taken to a cult, papa. Let's not run away from it. People now are performing negative things, are awakening negative energies because of they want to survive, because of power of money, pap. They want this material thing. And remember,
and that's
we
not
are not the
reason
people
for
of the
cult to
material.
exist, yeah.
We are not the people of the material. Because of that material, brings forth hatred, jealousy, separations amongst us. But people are still going there. Today, 3 years ago, going to us. Into kinazi ngekuthwaseni ngiyebule bokinto zamahlangana ngagrand sasa bathi hayi kunospan man after 2 days ngiyabuya into zami sesithi boom. How people are paying billions because of this cult that is happening right now. I'm not saying each and every sangoma is a cult, but now there are people who are taking it as a cult. They are no longer doing things. That is what from this cult.
And it's a high profile cult.
And it's a high profile one, pap.
Yazi weTalebza nesihleka la sino aba semotweni sithi bakwethu yazi masivakashe eMozambique kusamele angaspost ngoba uzoyela ku holiday yakho uyidlela ama prawns amnandi lapho yobona abantu bakho kodwa angithi kunalaba abaloko bacross babuye Moses why wena always mawubuye Moses wena une Range Rover entsha
angithi sandawana.
Okay. Mtaka baba, mfundisi wami.
Awuphawula nje indlula.
Ngicela siyophuza amanzi. Ngicela siyophuza amanzi. Ngoba manje ukuzinto engingazazi ngina manje. Ngoba ngeke ngezwe abantu bakhuluma ngazo.
Zathusa lezo zinto.
Thing is, this is where our culture got lost.
Yeah.
Churches are cults.
Yes, churches are cults.
Ubungoma are cults.
Today.
And
it's a cult.
It started off with the Witchcraft Act,
Yes.
with the cult of the European Christians.
Yes.
Thing is, we must understand one thing. And a lot of Christians feel offended, even on their comments in the show, yabo, when they interact with us. Ingati, we are attacking them.
No.
Fire. You did not create Christianity. Let's understand and embrace that. Christianity akusinto yakini. Mawuzongithuka manje uthi ngidakwe insangu, ama-threats wamenzani, because of you are trying to defend Christianity. You are fighting a losing battle because Christianity akuyona into yakini. We are just merely saying, yes, the chessboard is there, but let's understand how the pieces move before we can play the game. That's all we are saying. So the Bible also says Jesse, who is David's father, grandfather of Solomon, it says he was the blackest of all Jews.
Thank you. So I struggle. I mean, this is 2023, correct? Am I correct? In 2023, I mean, we are clear-eyed enough to see the difference in color. So we are able to, identify who is colored. As I've come to the expression, it's a term, an expression I'm only hearing in South Africa, who's colored, who's white, and who's black. So are we saying Jesse and then his grandson Solomon, who we all agree was the wisest man that ever lived? As wise as he was, he still couldn't understand that he's not a black person. Is that what we are saying? No. In truth.
In truth,
that's the argument here?
In truth, that would be the argument.
Well, arguments like that, I find it difficult to take a part in because I would now have to question
your sanity.
Yes. No, truly. So I think it is very clear. And everyone is playing the ostrich. Everyone's burying their head in the sand.
Soil, yeah.
And we are not saying these things as they are.
Okay. Middle East. Mesopotamia. From the land of, as far as the Ainu in China. It's lands occupied by black people. All the way coming to what we know today as Africa. And this is where now me and you are going to say the same thing, but we are going to differ about the same thing. Caucasians from the Caucasus area, they come down the mountain. The ice age is over. They are released from their prison. They come down, they start to explore the world around them. They meet people. And we know in their histories, when in the movies, in the series, in the media, when the Vikings, the Northerners came, they were wearing skins and they were wearing fur coats because where they came from, they were coming from ice. It was cold there. So now they came and started to explore. They start to meet new people, new cultures. Now, they start to push people down now. They invade, and then later on, Abu Kenges can come in. And then they start to push. These people now, some of them come this way, come into Africa. Some of them go the other way, end up in your New Zealands, in your, what we know today as your Maori, your Aborigines, and all of that. And all of these people have a common history that says, no, we come from a big land up there. Okay. Then this land is occupied by these people who now call it Palestine, and they're fighting over it now. Like really today, there's wars that have been going on for years and years and years, and none of these people belong to that land. We know that a group of them came in from 1945 to in the 1940s until 1948, when officially they were declared a state. We know that there was an Operation Jerusalem, Operation Jerusalem, some biblical name, where they took 20,000 Ethiopians.
It was called Yerut Israel.
Yeah.
Yerut Israel.
Yeah, the better Israel now. They took them and they settled them in Jerusalem for authenticity. because they realized that the area was occupied by black people. But now they didn't go to Somalia and get the people there. They didn't go to Congo to get the people there. They didn't go to Nigeria
or
or Ghana
or Zambia.
They didn't go to Zambia. They didn't go to Venda, Zimbabwe,
South Africa.
They didn't go to the rest of those people. We are stuck now in South Africa with Lembas, and then going all the way from South Africa, starting in Venda in the north, you get your Lembas. And then going up, Zimbabwe, you find them, and you find another variation. You
Tanzania,
go up. You understand?
Everywhere.
Now, this is the part of history that you are saying is our history that we need to reclaim. And the world has been taught the lie about it. Like you said, our father Abraham, you know, he was coming from the land of Ur. We, on the other hand, the Bantu, have a different storyline. We don't come from Mesopotamia or the other side of the Suez Canal. We, the Bantu Dengoni, are originally from the southern tip. We landed here. We appeared here. And us appearing here, now we are mixed with another group of people. Yes, they look like us, like you look like me. But if you really look, we don't look the same. If you really look at the details, nginguni mina. You understand?
I assume that means we in Nguni.
Yeah.
Mina.
Yeah,
That's
me. Mina, I'm Nguni.
Yeah.
I come from Umguni. Now, when you trace the history of Umguni and Umuntu, and you trace the biblical histories or the archaeological histories of Mesopotamia and those lands, the dates somewhere overlap. Somewhere. Now, when I say dates, I'm of the same school of thought as you. We don't have chronological dates. We don't have, this is the year 2023.
Please, before you continue, I would like you to note something. So I introduced my name as Achibong Basena, right? Back home, I go home now, I'd be called Achibong Basi, Achibong, Akpan, you know, Do Isien Kwongo, Ibete. That's just 10. I could go on for like 38, times that by 70. Okay. So the Guni or the Bantu tribes, that's another problem that bites at me. The reason is that you are accepting a version that's handed down by a people who had no idea what they were talking about. So the people who would lay claim to certain parts of those land are actually the pygmies of the Congo. The Bantu people, it's the Nguni languages you'd hear, the Bantu languages, you know, an offshoot of the, I speak, I'm an Efegman. The Efeg of the Niger Congo is a part of the Nguni languages. Like you'd say in my language, if I say 1, 2, 3, I say Tiet Ibaita. There's no way you go in Africa and you wouldn't recognize Ita or Ita. There's no way you go in Africa.
But when you come to us, Tina City Gutatu, Kunye, Kubini. You understand? So me and you would speak, but somewhere we wouldn't hear each other. There is this narrative. Now, I'd like to correct this. There is this narrative that says the Bantu come from the Niger-Congo Benue region. We don't come from there.
No, you don't.
We are not even attached to that region.
No.
On the other hand, there's the narrative that says that we occupy pygmy land.
No, I disagree with that. I'll tell you why. We are listening too much to the conundrum, to people who do not know
nothing about us.
So, if you go about to the issue, to the question of Eden, Eden, you know, let's be very rational here. If you traverse the whole globe, there's just one place where you'll find everything food crops, gold, diamond, everything that would make a place to be known and addressed as paradise. It stretches, and please take note, where you know as North Africa wasn't always a desert, at least not the whole stretch.
True.
So if you go from that part all the way to Cape Town, if you go from what's it called? We just Middle East all the way to Senegal. That's where you're going to find the priceless of things on the surface of the earth. And if paradise is alluded to as a place where everything was,
that should be it.
Thank you. We just mentioned where we found everything on earth. So we're stuck in our head when we are talking about the Bantu people, the Bantu languages, and we think it has to do with the Niger-Congo basin is a small place, you know. Southern Africa is a small place. So something tells me that for you and I to look like this, from Cairo to Cape, from
China
Middle East,
to Senegal.
or from Japan, you know, if you keep the globe, look around the equator, just below the equator, every single indigenous people of that place was black, even to this day, just below the equator. So, in essence, what I'm trying to say is this. When we limit ourselves to what we are being fed now, this argument we are having comes up, whereas it shouldn't. The reason is that in your mind, Nguni speaks only to Southern Africa. Whereas I have come to find out that there are things I have been able to identify that links you to a people in Congo. There are things that link you to the Mandlike people. There are things, Mandinke, things that links you to. It is not happenstance, because there's no possibility of such coincidences because of the vast distance. So it tells me one thing, and it tells me clearly that these people must have encompassed this geographical expression at the point, and then had to traverse and has expanded over time. Like the question of the time frames overlapping, good and true. However, it is very clear from what we have seen. We're having this argument now about who the Ngunis are, who the Bantus are, and who the Mandinke are. And we've forgotten that the word tribe only seeps into the language, into our minds.
We don't even have a word for tribe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't know how you picked that out of my mind. The word tribe was a non-existent thing. Non-existent. And we have accepted this, and this is how we are now beginning to identify ourselves. Whereas it is very clear, very, very, very clear that the Pygmies must have been in Congo, and they spoke to the region. They spoke to the topography of that region. The Khoisan would speak directly to the desert, their mode of life, everything about them. The same thing for the people you find in other parts of Southern Africa. At a point, the topography of the area dictates and defines,
I'd like to throw a spanner in the wheels.
No, let me shock you a little, or try to shock you. In the same Bible, you know the issue of Jacob and Laban, his father-in-law. How Laban, took out the spotted cows, and Jacob now had to, create spots on the tree. And when the cattle was mating, they beheld that, and then that's how he ended up having more spotted cows than his father-in-law. That tells me one thing very clearly, that your surroundings, your environment, it is in the Bible. You understand? And that little narrative there goes beyond the physical into the metaphysical, into the spiritual, into name it. into sciences, it's what you behold ultimately affects
you.
and what comes after you. You understand? So that also tells me that the Khoisan, what they beheld, has affected their outcomes, physically and otherwise. The Nguni tribes in Southern Africa, what they beheld affected their
them.
outcomes. The same thing for us in West Africa currently. Same thing. To the point where a people who have been identified to be a mix of the Ottomans, a mix of the Mongols, who now occupy Northern Africa and occupy Turkey, they're now claiming African. And they're not just claiming it in words, they're claiming it in deeds, which means that the environment has equally affected them. You know, we can ignore it all we want. It has, and it will.
Let's reverse centuries for a bit.
Yeah.
I want to throw a spanner in the wheel.
Okay.
Origin stories. We have our indigenous origin stories before the white man told us about the Bible and God taking clay and creating us. We have our own traditional origin stories.
Yeah.
And some of our stories say, example, the group of people known as Batswana, Bapedi, Basotho, have a story that say they come from Khalowe. Khalowe Ntswana Tsatsi, but Babituha Musimeng, meaning they came from a hole in the ground where the sun rises, right? And then you come to another group of people who are loosely known as Nguni, and not all of them are Nguni, but loosely known as Nguni. They say they come from Emhlangeni. Baphume Emhlangeni, they came from a hole in the sky, came down through a cord, which is the umbilical cord, and then they used, when they landed on the bed of reeds, they took one of the reeds and they cut that umbilical cord. So them as a nation came out of the bed of reeds. Now, one group says they came from a hole. Another group says they came from a bed of reeds. You get another group yet that say they came with the black snake. They came following a great black serpent through the waters coming from the sea. And then they got through the sea, they got into a big river, and then out of that river, people came out. Okay. 3 different creation stories now, stories of origin. Now, and these 3 stories are different from the stories of origin, like the Bible, for instance, that God spoke and then he created with his hand and then he breathed into a man. So, is it possible that on this earth, yes, we may be black, all of us, but is it possible that we do not share a common origin?
I'm very happy you brought that up. So you'd find that each of these stories validates the other. I'll tell you how. If you go to, let me clarify something. If you go to Congo and Cameroon, up to Cameroon, and up to a place called Vandekia in Nigeria, you're going to find a language that is 90% Zulu. Bamileke people and a part of the Benue people in Nigeria. They speak Zulu. And they have stories of origin. I'm sure you know about the Dogon. What you just told me about here, people coming down from the skies, no? And then those coming out from the reed, and then the big snake. The Dogon people who science is just beginning to prove that
they've been correct.
Yeah, they've been correct all along. Tells you they came from the sky. Match that with the people who tell you they came through a cord from the sky. if you go to southeastern Nigeria, where I come from, there's literally, what's it called? A kanem, ndem. Ndem, the loose term for mermaid, the mermaid spirit. And like in my place, they used to worship a deity called Anansa. Anansa is called a Buton. Yeah, if you Google it, you'll see it. It's about a snake cult. The people who emanated from the snake. I'm certain you've never ever heard of that from Nigeria. You understand? If you go to a part of Ghana, you're going to hear the same story. So, in a sense, what I'm trying to say is that they're interlinked. However, the Bible, the origin or the creation of man in the Bible does not negate this in actual fact. There's a difference between how man was formed and how man is able to recognize or identify his origin. There's a huge difference.
But let's look at the historical fact.
I am going
Scholars would agree. According to the Bible, now if you go to the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, the world today is about 7,600 years. If you look at the Bible itself, and you look at the lost books of the Bible and other extra books of the Bible, they'll tell you that before the years between Adam and Christ is 5,500 years.
I beg to differ.
But this is what is documented.
If you remember that the start of our conversation, let me interject a little, please. I beg to interject a little. At the beginning of our conversation, I said clearly that I completely disregard those
all
things.
The timelines.
And that was the reason.
Yeah, okay.
That was the reason.
Okay.
This is 2023.
Okay.
They're still finding tusk all over the world that lays credibility to the issue of the sludge, the Great Flood. Am I correct? And there are two definitions, or there are two explanations to creation in the Bible. Two, in the same Genesis. And it is also written there that a day for God will be 1,000 years.
For man. You
understand? And who's to say what a day really meant to God? No, please permit me to digress a little. We think, what I find most incredible is the fact that we human beings think we have the ability to comprehend the Creator.
But I have a problem with that.
Yes.
I have a serious problem with that. If things of God are above the logical intelligence of man, why reveal them in the first place? I have a problem with a God and a system that's going to say, you'll never understand my things, just worship me and keep in your space.
No, please do not miss where I'm going. I didn't arrive there yet. So understand me. I'm speaking to what you just said.
I'm answering the question where you say, a day is 1,000 years to God. But who is to say what is a day to God? Now, if God is going to place a day and have his own interpretation of a day, then that God for me is impractical.
No, okay. See, that's the thing. That we feel, not just you or me, I'm you. You understand? We feel that because it is impractical, therefore it doesn't exist. You understand? No, hold on, please.
I stand by that.
No problem. Yeah. I'm bringing my own narrative to the equation. You understand? So, man created this, this is a Samsung CD, right? And the function of this Samsung CD is to regurgitate what's fed into a tape, right? And then, at some point, this deck, or whatever it's called, now decides that on its own, it is able to read the mind of its inventor to the point where if the inventor decides that, you know what, a day I used to create you actually meant, I created this in a day. It could have been the day he envisioned it. not necessarily the day he started creating the rubber parts or the metal parts. It could mean, the day could mean, the 6 months it took him to put together the parts. That's him. At what point does this thing, you understand, develop the ability to question and seek to understand? The paradigm, they don't match, they won't match. So that is not to say that what you say is wrong. No.
But it says.
What do you say?
But it says, I must relegate thinking to a certain extent and allow faith to take place.
Oh, hold on. The issue of faith.
Because I cannot question my creator.
No. Who says that?
Thing is, Samsung.
I wish you would allow me land. I really wish you would allow me land.
I hear you I hear you clearly. I'm not interrupting. I'm saying Samsung is a technical equipment made by man.
Yes.
I'm not a technical equipment. I'm not a piece of equipment.
At what point?
I'm a thinking, sentient being.
And what makes you think this Samsung whatever is not a thinking being?
It's not.
No, hold on.
It's not.
No, let me explain. This thing.
This is why I say you have to put logic to the back now and use faith now.
I'm not even talking logic or faith.
Samsung is not conscious.
No, you think.
I know. I made it.
If it wasn't conscious,
if
how
Mr.
then
Samsung,
hold on. How then, if it's not conscious, how is it able to interpret a piece of material that is fed into it and interpret it into sound and picture? It is conscious. It was made, it is conscious. How is this metal I'm speaking to at this moment be able to hold sound, run that sound through to another object, interchange and change that object and replicate it and send it back to me as sound?
Thermodynamics.
No, what
energy.
makes you think? No. Thank you.
It's a whole spectrum of energy.
I agree with you.
But
you
that
are saying,
is not conscience.
You think.
No. Okay. Let me change my statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
It is not conscious on the level of my consciousness.
Thank you. The same thing. We can never be conscious on the level of our creator. The paradigm, will never merge.
But now, the Samsung, when I press open, it opens. When I put in the CD and press close, it does exactly what I say it must do. Now, listen to me. It understands the commands. No, wait.
Go ahead.
It understands the input, the command input.
100%.
Therefore, the output result is what was the input energetically now. Now, I'm saying, here is the creator who is above me. Created me for a purpose, right?
Yeah, and then
now restricts me from understanding said purpose.
No.
Now I have to rely on faith, yet that does not have logic. It may be conscious on an energetic level.
Please, before you continue, you
but
just
no
said
logic.
No,
right?
hold on.
First.
It has logic.
Has
it's logical what it does
on an energetic level.
What it does is logical. But hold on.
But it on its own has no logic.
Hold on. Who says? Hold on. Before you continue, you just said something now that strikes a chord. You understand? Your creator created, and it doesn't press you and you do this. But you do what you do, right? But you forget that. It is same way we got the information about being created. He also said that he created and gave you free will. Hold on. I'm not done yet. Gave you free will. Ne? So now, if you have free will that he gave to you, you understand? And it's also written there that you know what you choose.
Blue pill.
Hold on.
Morpheus and Neo.
Yeah.
The illusion of choice.
Hold on.
We both
please.
Understand that free will is not real.
No, hold on, please. Hold on. It is.
Choose to fly now.
I should choose to fly.
Yeah, levitate
I'm
off
not
the chair.
I'm not a bird.
No,
I'm not a bird.
But then, what is the extent of free will?
Now, the extent of free will, define will. And I'm not going to define it in accordance with the English dictionary.
Okay.
Will, my power to exercise what I have been able to comprehend. Yeah. What I have been able to comprehend.
Now, Samsung
Yes.
has no power to
Who
comprehend.
says Samsung I was fed with the power to comprehend that, you know what? A
Samsung
tape will go
was
into
fed
you.
with the power
You will
to
play, you will use.
execute.
No.
It
Hold
was
on.
fed with the
Hold on.
power to execute.
No, the act of execution, that act of execution, it's the willpower it has embedded in it. Now, let's dig into this.
Let's dig into
Yeah,
it.
let's dig into this. This is getting very interesting, eh? So, free will.
Excuse me, I'm gonna fix my hair at the same time. Carry on talking.
Okay, so free will.
Oh, but bazobona inwele zami ngemanje.
So, free will. Okay, free will and power may go hand in hand in one spectrum. On another spectrum, they mean two very different things. Okay. Then people talk about, the conscious and the subconscious mind. Yeah, before you cut me off, there is the story about man, being sent away from God's face, right? In the Bible still. Doesn't that explain the question you ask completely? It should, because if a son is sent away from his father's presence, he can't hear his father's voice.
True.
So how then do you expect a son who is no more within range of the father's voice? How do you now expect that son to hear his father's command?
But
No
this
way.
is where now I say me and you are going to differ.
Which is
on
good.
On a cultural point
Which
of view.
is good.
On an intellectual and logical. Because
which is equally good.
According to us, now when I say us, I'm talking to us on the Bantu side of Africa, the Nguni side of Africa.
What's the word for the creator?
Umkhulu kamkhulu.
Umkhulu kamkhulu.
My grandfather's great grandfather.
Okay.
Now, because of that fact,
creator,
because of that fact, I can never be sent away from my grandfather. I carry his name. I am him. The creator, now, let's take it further. We call the creator Umdali. The one who created, Umdali. We call the creator Mupi, the one who molded. We call the creator Musigawanu, the source of all that is human. We call the creator Mutanga Kugara, the one who was alive from ancient times. And all of that is related to one thing. Musigawanu, the womb, the source of all humanity. Because I come from my mother's womb, I cannot see a creator beyond her. We call Mutanga Gugara, the one who stood all the time. And we are referring to our fathers and their fathers and their fathers. So in our way of viewing things, we can never be separated from God, and God can never be separated from us. Therefore, God has to make logical sense to us. If not, he must retire.
Okay, now hear this. The fact that a man sends away his son, and the son is wandering in the wilderness or the forest, at no time is that son.
Sorry, microphone, just bring it.
Oh, sorry, please. At no time is that son ever separated from his father. He is not just in his presence any
But this
longer.
is the
Hold
thing.
on.
We are never outside our father's presence because we carry their names.
No, please hold on. He's not in his presence. That doesn't mean he's separated from him. Now, the ancestors, our fathers, our forefathers, I am named Achibong. It's actually, my grandfather was named Achibong. His grandfather, it wasn't even pronounced Achibong, it was Asibong, which means, king's father in my dialect, and so on and so forth. We are linked.
So it's a name that's always been...
It's been.
So you understand what I'm saying. So this Archibald is not separated from
hold on. Yeah, I mean, currently I could link the names 1,800 years and link the places, to Congo. I'll link some of them to Venda. I'll link some of them back to Egypt. I'll link them to lots of places. But we are not having that conversation now. I'm trying to say something, all of these people, less than a grain of sand in the scheme of things. All of this, less than 1 grain of sand in the scheme of things, because that grain of sand has been in existence long before them. And when we talk about the Creator, I feel when we talk about God, I think the Africans have a misconception. The modern day Africans have a misconception of this conversation. I mean, we hear that Christianity is a European concept, ne? We hear what the Quran is an Arabic concept. Wrong. The Bible from Genesis to Revelation happened in North Africa. It wasn't in any part of Europe or India or not.
Let me ask
Hold
you
on.
something. Let me
Yes,
ask
go
you a
ahead.
question.
Go
Let me
ahead.
ask you a question. Something happens in Pretoria, right? Rugby. Rugby World Cup happens in Pretoria. New Zealand, Spain.
Everyone comes to play.
Everyone comes to play in Pretoria. And then China wins.
Yeah.
Right? China wins the World Cup. Everybody now goes back home.
Yeah.
Right? Now, tell me, is rugby a Pretoria culture?
Not necessarily.
Does rugby belong to Pretoria?
Not necessarily.
Is Pretoria and rugby like put into the same bowl, synonymous?
Of course not.
The fact that the Bible happened in North Africa does not make it African. Can we agree on that?
No, I will never agree with that.
If I stand in the garage, if I stand in a garage for 10 years, am I a car?
Please permit me to share my narrative. The Bible happening in North Africa as a whole. That does not necessarily mean the Garden of Eden was in North Africa. Don't miss that. I just sat here and explained a short while ago that the only geographical expression on the globe that fits the Garden of Eden is what? Africa as a whole. Not the whole world, Africa as a whole. To this day, there
are rivers in England that part into 4 heads.
That's not even
and the Thames is one of them.
Yes,
and those rivers feed the whole land of England.
Exactly, but
so
at
they
no time,
can say
at
this
no
is
time,
the Garden of Eden.
they cannot, because at no time will things grow in the Garden of Eden as it grows where I come from. To this day, as we speak, I will take you to my backyard and take groups, and I know absolutely nothing about healing. But I will take you to my backyard and cure myself. Ulcer is not curable, right? I suffered from gastric ulcers for 22 years. I bled almost to death. I was treated in Lagos by, big doctors. Guess what? Vegetable. These leaves we eat in our part of Nigeria. I was cured. There is virtually nothing you can't cure. But let's not have that.
In
England,
same thing can be said about Europe. They've got books about herbs, they've got homeopaths, they've got herbalists.
Yeah.
They've got, since the times of the Druids, the Celts, they've been healing with herbs.
Now, the people you know as the Celts and the Picts, please, they have no association, they have no filial with Europeans. Correct that, understand that. I need you to understand that the Picts were not white-skinned people. It's there. Check on your phone.
Historically recorded. Yeah,
they're not white-skinned people. So,
but they influenced the culture of Europe.
Not necessarily. The culture of Europe, as we speak, is an amalgamation of the Greek, Romans, highly influenced by Black Africans.